Year I Will. And in that book, This Year I Will, it talks about the tremendous problem that people have in keeping their word. That they say that they're going to do something, but they end up giving up on it. And how many of you were elected on a promise you had no intentions on keeping? On a platform and on an agenda, on a program that might have sounded well in the assembly, but now that you have the reality of a budget, you've got to recalibrate, is this something that I can really do? You have to, in fact, make up in your mind as you're moving forward towards a brand new school year, to put into your heart, into your spirit, and into your mind, this year I will. If you want to know what it's looked like to deal with setbacks and difficulties, let's consider the life of Abraham Lincoln, who is, in fact, our poster child, our test tube baby for today's discussion on resilience and stick-to-itiveness. I want to give you just a drive-by shooting of Abraham Lincoln's life, and want to do it without talking about him signing the Emancipation Proclamation. But if you would consider just a few things that Abraham Lincoln had to go through, I think it's going to help all of you put into perspective as to where you are right now. In 1832, Abraham Lincoln lost his job. In 1832, he ran for the legislature for the state of Illinois and lost. In 1833, he failed in his business that he opened. In 1834, he was elected to the legislature in Illinois. In 1835, his wife dies. In 1836, he has a nervous breakdown. In 1838, he's elected a delegate to the House. In 1843, he is defeated in his bid to become a congressperson. In 1846, he's defeated again to go into the Congress. In 1849, he is rejected from the Land Office Department. In 1854, he is defeated from his bid on becoming a senator. In 1856, he is defeated on trying to become the Vice President of the United States. In 1858, he is defeated for being the senator. And in 1860, he becomes the President of the United States of America. He is a man who has lived through a whole life of failure and defeat, but in spite of it all, he kept trying. It was John Fitzgerald Kennedy who says, if you want to see a great success, look for a great failure. You will not know what success is until you've had some failures. And at every table, if I were to pass the mic around, all of you would have a testimony of what failure has looked like on your campus, what failure has looked like in your administration, what failure looked like in your dorm rooms. But in spite of it all, you are here because in spite of the failure, you understand what success looks like. You're listening to somebody today who is in fact a modern day postmodern understanding of failure. You're listening to somebody who, yes, has a doctorate degree from Oxford University, has a master's degree from Duke University, a bachelor's degree from Morehouse College, but that's all the success. But if you were to start my story on that page, you would miss the real highlights. The real highlights would tell you that I failed the 11th grade, that I got kicked out of a gifted and talented high school, had to go and get a GED. The real failure would tell you that I applied to Morehouse College, and they told me that they don't let students in with a GED. The real story will tell you that there was no way I was supposed to get in, but the day before class was supposed to start, the dean of admissions called me and said that the person who was supposed to come decided at the last minute to go somewhere else. If you want to be here in 24 hours, you can register. And so my father and I packed up and we flew to Atlanta, Georgia. And I graduated from Morehouse magna cum laude as a student who wasn't supposed to be there. When you look at whatever your success is, never come down with amnesia and you forget your failure. And so many of us, when we come to the heights of leadership, we want to espouse the virtues of success on what everybody ought to be doing without telling them what it took for us to be where we are right now. Please don't let this little title or position fool you. You still are waiting on a Pell Grant. You still waiting on student loans. You still can't stand your roommate. You still are hoping to get an internship with some corporation in the summer. Please do not become drunk with the wine of the world that you forget stony is the road that we had to try. And so all of us have come from different backgrounds and come from different places in life just to come to Bowie State University. And if you want to have a reminder with all of the leadership that you have, with all of the success and with all of the strides that we made, if you need no further reality check, you having lunch in a gymnasium. So that ought to wake it up for you that the reality is we still got somewhere to go. If you can't say amen, say ouch to that. It was in fact Yossi Ginsburg, who was a part of the Israeli Navy, found himself about 5 years ago on the Red Sea. And in the Red Sea, he was a Navy captain. And he decided with 4 of his Navy buddies to go into the Amazon River. And in the Amazon River, 3 of the people he was traveling with were killed. But somehow he was able to persevere and keep his head over water. 3 of them died through freak acts of nature. But somehow Yossi Ginsburg, 21 days alone in the Amazon River, was able to keep himself afloat and did not die to starvation, to pestilence, disease, or even depression. He wrote in his New York Times bestseller book, The Jungle, that while I was in the midst of facing a harrowing life experience, I had to ask myself, what is my priority? And because I understand what my purpose is, I can't die to circumstance. And many of you have got to remind yourself next school year, when it is that you're dealing with deans that don't have the vision, students who have apathy, teachers who are not involved, classmates who are not committed, you got to ask yourself, what is my purpose? And when I understand my purpose, then I understand that surrender is not an option.